Hello folks and welcome to Tippcast with myself, Shane Stapleton, and with Shane Brophy, head of sport, and Anina Guardian, and commentator Gary Tooley. Lads, how are things?
Good, Shane.
Yeah, not too bad, Shane. Not too
bad.
Yeah,
big week of GAA to talk about, particularly in Tipperary, of course. We might trade into the All-Ireland quarterfinals that are coming up in Thurles this weekend. But starting off, Shane, the Tipperary minor hurlers, by God, they didn't do it easy, I have to say. No. But after extra time, what a brilliant win over Galway at the Gaelic grounds, and some winner from Killian Minogue.
It was a class finish, like just the way he didn't panic. He didn't see the first shortest shot was blocked. Then, his line of sight was gone. But like he turned back onto his, I think it was probably his weaker side. I'd say he's probably stronger off the other side, and slotted over from about 50 yards. No, it was a sort of incredible finish, because like 3 minutes earlier you couldn't see Tip winning the game, like when they went 2 points down and extra. It was like they're just, in fairness to Galway, I thought Galway were outstanding now. With 14 men, like they were so good. Like they actually played like a team that it didn't look like they had 14, and like that's to their immense credit, the way they used the ball, the way they, I suppose the way they pushed up even with 14 men, like they used the elements to their advantage. They said, okay, we're a man short. What do we want to do? We want to pin Tip back in their own half, and they did that. And look, they will probably rue maybe the missed free late in normal time, that they probably could have won the game. But look, I said it in my analysis piece this week, that if ever a team played in the image of their manager, it's this Tip minor team. Like there's no end to them. There was never any end to James Woodlock as a player, and there's no end to these guys. And look, in terms of their overall play and performance, you probably think, okay, they played second fiddle to Galway for long spells, but look, they managed to win the game, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, Gary, Galway had some fine hurlers, Brian Callan and Killian Roach. But Tipperary too, I mean, we already know at this stage that Ewan Murray is a decent prospect. Minogue there as well. Like, that Tipperary team has a lot of good players, and they stayed going all the way till the death.
Yeah, like I suppose the thing with Ewan that impresses me so much, Shane, it's his ball winning ability. Like, obviously we're so short of that in the county at the moment, obviously at the senior level, especially inside the Munster final. Like, he's just snapping balls out of the clouds for fun. Like, I think he's got 115 from playing the championship as well. So when you have a half forward winning ball, break a ball like that, but they're also contributing to 18 points in play in all those games. It's a serious asset to have, and I suppose Thurles have another gem in Killian. Like, not to make comparisons, but that winning point reminded me of Screeney, the way Screeney goes left and right, and the second he moves left or right, the cornerback is just in no man's land. The amount of space he got from that move so quick, look, that point is worthy of winning any game. But just back to Shane's point, that was a really mature performance from Tip. Like, especially in the Munster final as well. They started the game very well. Clara came into it for the next 20 minutes and dominated them, but Tip still held their own, and they didn't panic. And like Shane said, James Woodlock doesn't panic on the sideline, and neither is Willie Square and the lads as well. So it was just a really mature performance. It wasn't great for the heart now watching in, but no, it was a really, really mature performance, and that's something like for 16 and 17-year-olds, like, you don't get to say that too often.
Yeah. Who else really impressed you in this game, Shane?
I thought our defence to a man were super. I think I said it in my piece that there must be an absolutely horrible set of six to play against, because they're just constantly in your face. Like, I don't think any one of them was outstanding last week, but every one of them played to a high level. They're just so sticky in what they do. Cathal O'Reilly, even though he had his hands full with Brian Callan, but God, he stuck to his task very well, and he made an unbelievable block on Brendan Fox in the lead up to the equalising point in extra time at that. Who got it from the wing? It ended up being a Killian Cantwell score, and like that whole score epitomised the effort of both teams. Like, O'Reilly made a block from Fox, it went up the field. Then Galway made two brilliant defensive blocks on shots. I think one was from Murray, and then it ended up getting to Cantwell. Like, there was just relentlessness on both sides. I thought Jake Donnan-Houlihan was probably had his best game in terms of his. It was probably the best of our six in terms of back six, in terms of the amount of ball he got on. I thought his distribution was an awful lot better. I think our midfield, Tiernan Ryan and Billy O'Brien, the work ethic in those two lads was unreal. Like they just never stopped going. And like I suppose I was kind of surprised the way the management maybe didn't use the bench fully. Like it was like they have used 25, 26 players up to now, and like and I suppose that Austin Duff was great to see him back at the weekend after got to 3 months out, and I thought he made a big contribution in extra time with just that energy and getting on the ball as well. So look, I just thought, look, outside of, I suppose, Minogue and Murray, and I suppose Tobin had his moments as well, and I suppose on another day he could have had a hat-trick. He had a running duel with the Galway goalie who he made 4 outstanding saves, and we also missed an open goal. Like that for me, like if Tip had taken their goal chances, they would have won it. But then at the other end, our goalie had no save to make in 80 minutes of hurling. Like that shows you how good our defence was in the game.
Yeah, and this was a Tip team that hadn't played a game in 26 days, Gary, compared with Galway, who played a couple of games in that time. So, I think there has to be credit given there as well, that they found a way. Like maybe they weren't 100% sharp compared with Galway because of that break. Now, to be fair, we have to look at Galway and say the red card was unbelievably soft for Rhys O'Connor, and they showed a lot of guts to go all the way and get it to extra time. And look, they were very unlucky not to win.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you'd have to say, from a Galway point of view, you'd probably say, geez, we probably would have won that game if we had the 15 men. But then on the other side of things, Sean Kelly was unreal in the goals. As Shane said, 4 really good saves. An early one there from Killy Minogue in the first half as well. But so it's back to the point there about no game in nearly 4 weeks. Like, you're looking at 15, 16, 17-year-olds waiting around 4 weeks for a game. Are they going to lose concentration? Like, that's a big save for the boys that are over them, to keep that focus in them. Because, look, I suppose at senior level, it's easier to keep the concentration. You're a lot more mature, but to have no game after 4 weeks, and like that pitch invasion as well in Limerick, like that might got to their head as well. Look, we've won a Munster final here. Look, everyone loves us, that kind of way. But that was the most impressive thing about the whole performance. I think it was just the maturity of everyone involved. And look, I think James has a bright future ahead, not just at minor level, but with bigger jobs ahead as well.
David Hogan says Austin Duff's doggedness brought something big to the front line when he came in. Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, Stephen Tobin, another day he would have filled his boots entirely, and hopefully that will be in the All-Ireland final. But Shane, we know that's going to be at Nolan Park after losing the coin toss. I suppose the downside is obviously you're playing away from home. The upside is you could end up winning 2 All-Ireland minor titles in 3 years at Nolan Park.
Oh yeah, look, it would be an incredible win to get to do it in the backyard of one of your greatest rivals. I suppose James Woodlock did reveal, and I suppose we didn't know it at the time, was that maybe that Portlaoise seemingly was closed after the match last Sunday between Kerry and Louth for pitch work, maybe ahead of the Laois Championship. That's fine. Then I saw a story on one of the Offaly websites that Tullamore was actually promised the All-Ireland minor final this year, which I knew nothing about, to be quite honest. Like, so obviously, like, then you tip Tullamore makes no sense for either team. Like, so I understood maybe why both teams weren't keen to go to Tullamore. I would have thought maybe Walsh Park would have been in the mix, because I don't foresee any more than maybe 10,000 maybe going to this final. Like, because it's not Tip v Offaly, where Offaly have a rabid away support or rabid support from one side, but maybe the GAA wanted to get away from a scenario where they wanted a rush for the 12,000 tickets for Walsh Park. Because I suppose back in the 80s, when Tip and Kilkenny played in under-21 finals, they were played in Walsh Park. And we saw that night a few weeks ago when Waterford played Tip in the Championship. It's a smashing venue when it's full, like a real big crowd. But look, they went to a decision for the toss, came down against Tip. And look, the toss was probably always going to work in Kilkenny's favour, because even if they lost it, they were going to be playing in Thurles, where they played last weekend, where Tip haven't played a game in Nolan Park. Maybe the team has played challenge matches there earlier in the year. I'm not sure, but it's it's advantage of Kilkenny, and like this thing of if they play in the final the next time, it'll be in Semple Stadium. But it's 22 years since the last played each other in an All-Ireland, so I just think I'm not a fan of these home and away arrangements, because in any one year, like this, for more or less this group of Tip minors, this is probably their one and only shot at winning in Ireland. When the next Tip minor team has home advantage against Kilkenny in All-Ireland is immaterial to them. So I personally think these home and away things should be done away with. I just think they're unfair. But look, I kind of understand James Woodlock's mindset by going for it, because he loves setting a challenge in front of these guys. And look, I'd say look it would be. But on the flip side, as you say, Shane, it would be the ultimate if they won it in Kilkenny's own backyard.
Yeah, what do you think, Gary?
Yeah, when I heard about the coin toss, I think, like Shane said there, like Thurles is like Croke Park for most other counties. It's their second pitch, like and again, but then the point of, like, I know how stubborn James will be now, and he'll be driving that into the lads and look, this is against us now, and those young fellas, if he said jump off a cliff, like they jump off, or jump how high off a cliff for him, I'd say. So it was a small advantage to Kilkenny. I don't think anyone can say otherwise. But then again, for what the lads showed against Galway, it probably shouldn't bother us too much. But then again, it would be sweet to go down there and win All Ireland in their backyard.
I do think it needs a strong referee for that final, because I was there in 2004, I think, when they absolutely skinned us in the All Ireland or 21 final. I know that was a great Kilkenny team with Tommy Walsh and Cha Fitz and all them lads, and we all remember 2013, and geez, I still have it burned into my head. Remember when I think Tipperary missed a chance to equalise, and Brian Gavin was the ref, and there was only seconds left. And even if Brian Gavin wanted to play on beyond the 2 or 3 minutes injury time, the Kilkenny fans counted down the last 10 seconds. They were more or less telling him, once we say 1 or 0, you're blowing that whistle. Because I just think it needs a strong ref. The Kilkenny fans are absolutely rabid at home when it's a big game like this, and look, they'll try and swing a few decisions their way. And if it's a weak referee, look, we've seen it in a couple of those National League finals as well at senior level when we were beaten comfortably enough, and even in that qualifier, it can be an intimidating place when those Kilkenny fans are really on it, so.
And just back to the point there about the home and away. I think Shane's dead on. There shouldn't be a home and away agreement underage, because again, this is their only chance now for Tip and Kilkenny to play each other probably at this level. They'll never get a chance again. At senior level, it's fine. You get these chances every year, every second year. But underage, and it's not fair in the counties either, because they had to, I suppose, come to an agreement. Right, we'll toss a coin for it. So I think it should be taken out of their hands and just sent to neutral venues like Carlow, Waterford, wherever. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Hopefully, we get the job done anyway. So
actually, if you were to do a proper return fixture between Tip and Kilkenny, it actually should be in the under 20 over the next 3 years, involving more or less the same group of players. I think you and Murray, and there's only a couple of Tip lads are still underage for next year. I think Kilkenny might have more, but for this set of players, you nearly say that return fixture should be done under 20 over the next 3 years.
And actually, a lot of players who will play minor for Tipperary next year played in the Celtic Challenge final for Tip Blue.
Yeah.
Where? In Nolan Park.
Yeah.
So, but you look at senior level, the two counties haven't met since 2019 in championship. Whereas now at underage level, Celtic Challenge and minor here, we're seeing these teams come together. So I wonder will it start happening over the next number of years. Fingers crossed. We'll come back to a chat about Tipperary.
Well, I suppose we'll just bring it up. We won't. Look, the venue is now. We have to make it. We have to make it work. And I'm sure. Look, James Woodlock could be stealing them. We've got the county board. Not like 2 years ago. Our True Fiserv are looking to get each club to bring a bus of supporters. Look, we have to bring thousands of people down there, because I would have thought Kilkenny will bring 5,000 or 6,000. We've got to try and match it, whatever. It's not going to be full. I'd be surprised if there's any more than 10 or 12,000 there. But we've got to at least try and make it a sort of try and even up the numbers as much as we can.
Yeah, there's that's a good Kilkenny team as well. Jake Mullen scored 13 points, but geez, to get over the line, and it took extra time as well against that Clare team. Geez, they seriously are a good team, Shane. So obviously, it goes without saying that they won't be taken lightly.
Yeah, and look, I suppose if you're going through form, Kilkenny easily beat Galway twice, and we struggled to beat Galway. But then Kilkenny had their fill of it from Clare, who Tipperary were neck and neck. We lost one and lost one and won one against Clare. So that's what I suppose it just shows you each game. Brian Cody used to say it takes on the life of its own. But yeah, look, Kilkenny look powerful. Particularly their inside forwards, and say Jake Mullen was outstanding. But I believe that the two teams have played each other a couple of times in challenge matches. So look, they'll be familiar with each other as well. So I'm sure they'll probably know an awful lot about each other in terms of what matchups they'll have going into the final.
Yeah, we might move on to what Tommy Dunn was saying. Basically, he was talking about getting an intervention in Tipperary GAA just to get Tip back on the right track. And one of the quotes that he came out with, this was with the Tipperary Supporters Club, was, "If you look for help, you'll get it in Tipperary. I've no doubt. For people to invest time, money and expertise, they have to see evidence of a structure, a proper strategic layout and vision for the next couple of years, where there's not going to be just a little project off the back of one disappointing year. It needs to be bigger than that in the medium or long term, where there's a focused approach, where there's commitment to getting Tipperary to a certain place." Very fair point, Gary. What were your thoughts when you saw some of these quotes?
Sure, Tommy, he hit the nail on the head, didn't he? I think the whole county as a whole has to look at itself on and off the field, up in the boardroom, on the field, everything. Liam Cattle's taking a lot of flack this year for what's going on, and I don't think it's a Liam Cattle problem. And look, I don't think the problem is as big as it's been made out to be either. As Tommy says, just ask for help, get the help in, get the bodies in, and for me, there's no better man than Tommy Dunn to come in and maybe, look, if you want to call it a director of hurling kind of type, someone to oversee the whole operation, get the style play back into Tip. Now, look, again, underage has been fine the last couple of years, but the transition up to senior, it's just missing something. But like 2019 is 5 years ago. That's not a million years away either. We're not too far off it. Just a structure has to be put in place. From the Waterford game last year, things kind of gone off the boil a small bit, but I think as a whole county, we can do a hell of a lot more. And even going back to the minor All-Ireland as well, I think there's a lot of emphasis on the county board now over the next week to drive this across social media, to get into clubs, get these buses going. You saw what Offaly were doing on social media the last couple of years. They're driving the people to the games. There's a lot that probably have to look at each other a lot over the next 6 months before we go into 2025 and get something in place, get a plan in place, and look, whether Tommy has put his hand up for it or not, but he'd be my man to come in and oversee a whole infrastructure like that.
Shane, you listened to that full interview?
Yeah, I know. I saw the clips and listened to the full interview. No, it was strong stuff from Tommy. It was so good. It had a lot of maybe the elements I wrote about a couple of weeks ago, and then what Liam Sheedy said, and I think in an Irish Examiner article a couple of weeks ago too, about something similar to what went on in Clare in 2021, where a line was drawn in the sand. They freshened things up, and I'm not saying that the top table of the top brass of the Tipperary County Board need to go anywhere. This is not, and it's Liam Tommy said himself, this is not to undermine what they're doing. This is to work alongside them. This is to give them a helping hand, because look, it's not easy. These are amateur people, maybe aside from the CEO, who are doing this for the love of Tipperary. And look, we are in a time where, whether we like it or not, it's an arms race for finance, and we're under pressure. Look, you see this week where Tipperary are working with Mike Harkey Burris to raise money through a club championship prediction thing. That's a club fundraiser being used to try and earn the Tipperary County Board some money. It's peanuts, but they're desperate for peanuts at the moment. That's how tight things are. If that's not a cry for help, I don't know what is. And we have a lot of people with a lot of contacts in this county. You just need somebody to take it on. You look at Liam O'Shea, the former commercial advisor of the county board. He'd be the ideal man to maybe get a group of people in a room. You have Liam Sheedy, has loads of contacts. You have Tim Floyd, the ex county board secretary. That man, the knowledge that man has is incredible. These people are not looking to be paid. They're just looking to be, okay, what can I do to help Tipperary? We need a bit of financial help. It's not that, and I've said it before, I don't think Tipperary are wasting money. I just think the costs involved are going up and up the whole time. Like, and this thing of, if we don't give as much to footballers, will help the hurlers. Like, cutting money to the footballers won't improve anything. You don't weaken one thing to try and save the other. You need to fund the whole thing from top to bottom. And even in terms of hurling, as Gary said, like I think our games, coaching and games development people are doing an awful lot of very, very good work up to under 17, under 18. Like, look, we've been very, look, you can have down years at minor, maybe the talent base mightn't be as good in a certain year, but look, we've been very, very competitive. Like, we have 4 teams in the Tony Forest till every year. We have 3 teams at under 15. We have 2 and under 16, and we have 2 plus a minor team in the Celtic Challenge. Like, we're exposing a lot of players to an awful lot of stuff. We're linked in with Satanta College, but it's, as Tommy Dunn said in his piece, it's the transition from under 20 and Fitzgibbon to senior is where maybe Tip are falling short. And like Tommy was more or less saying that Fitzgibbon, like, there's a lot made of Fitzgibbon, and I thought it's fantastic. He says it's a million miles away from senior as well. Like, so I think if Tipperary could get the right people in charge to say, okay, what do we do from when a lad is finished under 20 to senior? Because, like, bar you're an exceptional under 20, like Kyle Hayes or somebody that's nearly a man before you're finished under 20, you nearly have to be 23, 24 before you make your impact at senior level now.
So Shane, then is what we're talking about then strictly finances? So nothing really. Yeah, okay. So we know that Tipperary will always have a bit of talent because we keep looking at underage, and we look at the current underage, whether it's Celtic Challenge, 2 teams getting to semi-final and 1 win in the Harty Cup, whether it's, minors, obviously under 20. So there's no shortage of talent. So over the next 5 years, you will be thinking Tipperary should bring through a lot of hurlers. That's not to say to win anything, but Tipperary should bring through enough to compete with everybody. So are we talking here, like, so obviously expertise helps, but we get nowhere without money. So like plan A, Gary, has to be money, I would have said. And like, I know you're saying things aren't too bad, but like, I think 2019 was an aberration. 2017, there was the league final, you're getting smashed. I know it got to an All-Ireland final, but 2018 didn't get out of the group. 2020, very bad. 21, bad. 22. Like, I think there's a bigger, deeper problem here, which will probably even go as far as hitting the confidence of Tipperary hurling overall. But like, it feels like foremost here is money. And if you can get money, then you can start to do things.
Look, call it a spade a spade. Money is the most important thing. When you wake up in the morning, we all go to work for county boards, etc. You don't have the players without the money. I think that Tip bring in 750,000 in revenue last year. Other counties, smaller counties, brought in over $1 million. So I think that is the first and foremost that has to be looked at. And obviously, look, they're trying different things. Obviously, there was a meeting there a few months ago to get clubs, obviously, to run a day in the year to donate £1,000 as well. Look, which will help, but again, that's pennies, as Shane says. That only keeps you taking over for a few months. Something has to be done. Like, we're talking about Tommy Dunn coming in as a director of hurling and doing something there. Maybe like a finance committee or something has to be done. As Shane said there, Liam Sheedy, these guys, everyone has contacts everywhere. Tip is too big of a county to be going to clubs to looking for championship predictions, to be raising money. Tip is too big for that. You see with Offaly, they have their funders. Limerick obviously have theirs as well. Other counties, Cork are in their own spot of trouble, but they put themselves there. They have plenty of revenue coming in. They have big bills, that's fine. But it's not as gloom as it seems to be on the outside. Like, there is solutions there. It just, I think the heads need to crack them together and get something in place before the end of the year and have a plan going forward from 2025, because you can't keep going back to clubs looking for money every year.
Like, I think, just in terms of my own thoughts, in terms of guys transitioning from 18, 19, 20 into senior, like, I think a full-time S&C person throughout the whole county that would work with hurlers and footballers after underage is a must, even not in Tip, in every county, because they then can work with those players out in the off season, even when they're playing with their clubs, that they're being monitored. That, like, when, just say, Ronan Connolly, for example, he's finished under 20 hurling this year. He's going to go back to Cashel, and no disrespect to Cashel, but will they have the expertise to develop him over the next few years? Like he's a player you identify as having the tools to go on and play a senior level. But is he going to be monitored properly in terms of 2-3 years down the line that he's going to be primed to play for Tipperary? Like Liam Cahill he's sort of starting that process now with maybe the likes of a Josh Keller from Nina Airog. Like Josh, people will probably watch a club hurling last year and think, God, Josh doesn't stand out. But I'd be saying to myself, yeah, but 2 or 3 years down the line, if Josh physically builds, he could be our Tom Morrissey in a couple of years' time. You've got to identify players that maybe you think that maybe there isn't much there now, but if you get them right over the next 2 or 3 years, they'll turn into the player you want them to be when they hit 22, 23 years of age.
Just on that, like in fairness, Liam, because I was at a lot of those games over the winter, that development squad is there. So like there's a couple of Minogue boys and whatever lads on it. They're not in your 35 or 6-man panel. They have a program now for the next 6 to 9 months. They'll be back in that development squad now again in October, November, playing all these challenge games again. Even when Liam is gone, that should be a fixed setup with the county board. Whoever comes in, you have 40 lads here that you have to look after over the winter. And then it's up to you. Maybe hold on to 20 or 30 for the next 6 or 9 months. Monitor him every 12 months. All right, Josh, you're 22 now. You have to put on a bit of condition. You're going to be in the 36 next year, etc. That needs to be continuously rolling over because it's easy to let lads go back to the clubs. They're still fit as fiddles, but the big step up from club to county. And like I know there's a couple of those lads, they're being monitored the whole time. So look, that's one good thing that Liam has done. In fairness, it's a big plus, and that needs to keep rolling over as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd look at it and think, well, I'd like to see how I could do as Tipperary manager if I was on an even keel, maybe S&C wise or whatever you want to say, athletically with other counties. So I know we all know how the season ended and it didn't end brilliantly, but you would like to see that. And Shane, how realistic would it be to sort of nearly take the expertise to the clubs, rather than trying to just bring in a smaller group, which every county is probably doing, but take expertise to the clubs or maybe have different athletic hubs around the county whereby it's such a massively spread out.
I think that would be another element to it, and I know that's what Tommy Dunn was sort of trying to do. That how are the clubs doing enough in terms of their own coaching structures? But I think that
I'm actually more talking about S&C here within clubs.
Yeah, but in terms of their own knowledge base of how you prepare teams, in terms of maybe doing it yourself rather than. And at first, the county board did set up sort of an S&C thing through Setanta earlier in the year, where clubs were asked to send people to go and train themselves up and try and bring that knowledge then back to their clubs. I don't know how many people signed up for it. So like they are trying to develop these things through to Setanta College, and it's going to take time. And it also needs people within the clubs to say, okay, I'll take this on in my club and I'll see, can I drive it on? And that's look, the most progressive clubs will do it. There's no doubt about it. But like it needs an individual, nearly a passion for it. But then you have to go back to the clubs and maybe get the stubborn senior manager maybe to listen to you, and he doesn't want to be undermined and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, we'll move on then to the All Ireland quarterfinals in Thurles this weekend. We mightn't mention the timing of them just yet, but I'll start off with yourself, Gary. Clare against Wexford and Dublin against Cork. Now, is there a risk, if we just start with the latter match there, that Cork are already in the All Ireland semi-final to the minds of everybody, around the country, maybe bar the Dublin panel? And can Dublin be as bad as they were again against Kilkenny? And can Cork get to the level that they showed against Limerick and Tipperary once again? Because if they don't, this could be a very close game.
It could, but I think Cork, I suppose, they probably came up to Tullamore last week, lads, and like very complacent in the back of their mind. They're true. I was impressed with Offie. They put up a performance better than last year against Tip, but Cork won't be as bad as they were last weekend. They won't.
But we thought that last year, Gary.
True too. But I think we've seen too much from this Cork team in the championship. Like that Limerick victory, like that for me is the real Cork, and I think Cork are the only team that can top a Limerick. You have to run direct at Limerick for me. This tippy-tappy tone around Limerick playing a direct ball inside. They're just too seasoned at this stage. Cork can run direct at them. Just back to Saturday, I can't see anything other than a Cork victory. if Dublin show up in the semi-final, we could have a game. But if Dublin show up to the level that they did in the Leinster final, the game could be over by half. But I think Cork just have too much. Like Hayes and Connolly inside are two savage finds. Seamus Harvey was unbelievable again. Darragh Fitzgibbon, even Mark Coleman came back into the game last weekend as well. I just think there's too much quality, and being Patrick Collins in goals, his puck outs have improved untold as the year has gone on as well. So for me, it's a Cork victory. It's a handy Cork victory if both teams rock up to their best ability. I still think Cork will win handy enough.
Yeah, Shane, over the years, when Dublin get done, it's normally by a team with a lot of pace. They were awful in the Leinster final, of course, but I don't feel it was the best version of Dublin that we saw. And they do have more pace than they used to have. I remember watching a quarter-final between the two teams maybe 4 years ago or something like that, and it was an annihilation. Do you see any chance of Dublin upsetting Cork?
I do. I think purely on the basis that I think Dublin this Saturday, if they hurl for pride, I think there makes them very dangerous. Like if they go out and just play the game in terms of lads, we let ourselves down against Kilkenny. And it doesn't matter who we're coming up against this weekend. If we go out and show the best version of ourselves, we have a chance here. And I just think that makes them very, very dangerous. Like a team that's been written off, that's been sort of castigated and because of their non-performance against Kilkenny. I do think pride is going to come. If Micheál Donoghue taps into that, say, okay, lads, we have to redeem ourselves here. Whatever happens, win, lose, or and you just don't know whether Cork might turn. Cork are still a small bit fickle to me. They did enough last weekend. Okay, they weren't great. They did enough, but will they be able to lift it another bit more this weekend? They can. We know they can, but will they is another thing. Like they were sort of on a high after beating Limerick, carried it into Tip, and then they had a month off. Like you just don't know how that month. Like all the momentum was lost. Okay, they won last weekend, but the performance wasn't hectic. There's no guarantee they'll be able to get back to the levels of the Limerick Tip game even this weekend. And if they're not, that's why I think Dublin have a chance here. I agree with Gary. I think Cork should win, but I don't think this will be a foregone conclusion. I think it'll be a game. I think Cork might win by 5 or 6, but I do think athletically both teams are pretty similar. But I think hurling-wise, Cork would have a serious advantage.
Yeah, I feel like Cork will pull away in the final quarter, and even though Dublin will push them, I just don't quite see us in injury time wondering which way it'll go. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see it real tight, but I just don't see Dublin having enough players in the inside line who can make the ball stick. Like they'd want Donald Burke out around centre forward and give Rob Downey a big problem, but they might have to play him a little bit closer to goal. And then at the other end, like I think Dublin have pretty decent matchups for what's a very dangerous forward line. Like Owen O'Donnell athletically would match up with either Alan Connolly or Brian Hayes, and you could say Paddy Smith go on the other one. And then John Bellew, who mightn't be the most heralded player in the world, but he's a very quality cornerback, and maybe he'd give Patrick Horgan a decent run there. And we all know about the likes of Chris Crummy and Brian Hayes, their ability to drive forward. But I just think up that top end they won't score enough.
Yeah, I didn't see an awful lot of the game, but I don't know whether you did, Shane or Gary, but like they putting Chris Joyce into middle of the field. How did you feel that went? It was like
Kieran Joyce.
I think he's too good a player not to be in the team, but you can't take Downey out of centre back, and it doesn't look like they want to change 5 or 7 either. So I suppose is it Toomey or Ethan Toomey he probably looks the vulnerable one. So.
Oh, I think he's an excellent player. I don't think you can drop him for love or dirt. I like what they were doing was putting Kieran Joyce into midfield, and he was kind of sitting, and then you have Darragh Fitzgibbon obviously off. But I don't know, has it affected the balance of their team ever so slightly? Or like you said, Gary, maybe they're just coming up and they know the game is won in a way. I mean, the chances of them losing that game, were
like I know even at that level, but subconsciously, you're going to get over them no matter what. But like again, I think even if the game is tight at the weekend, I think the main factor is the Cork bench. Like they have serious options on the bench. Dublin don't. That's the thing about Dublin. They probably have a good solid 13, 14 maybe. But Cork have a serious bench. And like you see the likes of Jack O'Connor. Like in fairness, Jack O'Connor, they took the championship last year. He can't even make the team this year. Probably one of the fastest players in the country. Like they've too much strength and depth. I'd love to see Dublin. I'd love to see Dublin get over Cork, but I just can't see it happening. But I think in fairness to Micheál Donoghue, I think he's brought him on again this year, and that's all you can hope for and wish for as a manager, to keep improving, because I think it is important that we do have a good competitive Dublin in the championship.
Yeah, and look, I think it just comes back to it again. We talked about the inside line for Cork and how dangerous it potentially is. And lads like Hayes and Connolly who can run at you all day. And I think ultimately they'll get enough ball. And at the top end, I just don't think Dublin will be able to do the same damage. But Shane, the other game, speaking of the full backlines, Liam Ryan not being available for Wexford against Clare, will this catch them out?
I think it could be, yeah. Just with the way Shane O'Donnell is playing, like he's just almost unplayable at the moment. Like even, like he probably didn't. Even Dan Morrissey in the first half of the Munster final really had his hands full, and like I know maybe O'Donnell didn't have a huge impact in the second half. I think that was an awful lot of maybe where Clare set up. They didn't actually try and get enough of the ball into him as they could. But yeah, this is a fascinating one for me. Look, I said it here last week. I'm not one of those that was going to write off Clare based on the Munster final. Look, they didn't hit the heights of their best. They didn't play near their best, and we know when they're at their best, they're very, very good. And look, Tony Kelly will surely come on from that 70 minutes. He's only going to improve.
Did Clare choke in the Munster final?
I do think the pressure of maybe. The pressure probably got to them a small bit, that, okay, the 28 years thing, trying to beat Limerick. I did think that the Munster final was bigger for them than it was for Limerick. And I know Limerick going for 6 in a row, but like, even if Limerick lost it, they were still going to be favourites for the All-Ireland. So and maybe the half an hour's delay didn't help Clare either. I do think, I think Clare they can play better. The thing is, will they be better this weekend? Everyone is saying they should beat Wexford, but geez, they had their fill of it 2 years ago and they barely got over the line. And I think this is a better Wexford team now than it was 2 years ago. They're playing more expressive hurling. I'm going with Clare, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if Wexford won it either.
And Gary, like obviously we know about those Clare forwards, Kelly, Shane O'Donnell, Mark Rogers is brilliant, David Fitzgerald, there's more, right? On the other side, Lee Chin, Rory O'Connor, who hasn't hit the heights just yet, but we know what he's capable of, and Conor MacDonald, and Keane Byrne is looking a serious player as well. I mean, that's as good a forward line as is out there, or certainly not far off being among the best.
Yeah, no, it's great. Conor MacDonald's back as well. He's a lot of injuries the last couple of years, and he's just a class act. Lee Chin is performing to a level that we all knew it was in him, but he's consistent now for the last 2 seasons in a row. Like, he's a proper Rolls Royce. But just back to Clare, I hate that word choke, but I know what you're saying. What was worse for me than all the wides was the lack of ball that went into Shane O'Donnell in the second half. I couldn't understand what was going on. Like, if
they panicked out the field though, like they kept putting the ball to the clouds rather than working it up a little bit more, dragging out Limerick, and then the ball inside work.
You see his body language, and he was just so peed off. He was, and I just think that was more important, I suppose, than all the wides they had, because he's either going to win a free, he's going to pop a ball off, or he's going to pop it over the bar. I think I don't give Dublin much of a chance, but I give Wexford a big chance, even without Liam Ryan. I think Hugh Rossiter has really brought that group together. I suppose, look, Dara was there last year, and look, I won't get into it. I think he got Rod Eadler, but Keith's supposed to be a local man. He's brought them really tight and close together. Again, the forwards that they have would make most county teams in the country. If Clare are hurting properly after the Munster final, Clare will win. But for me, if going to my head, I'd be going for Wexford. I think there could be a shock in the cards. I just think Clare not showing up in the Munster final after all these years, 28 years, etc. Jeez, I don't know. I think subconsciously maybe that could be getting to them, and it's a right chance for Wexford now to kick on.
I don't know about you, Shane, but I think the fascinating thing for me is I love the way Roster has Chin and MacDonald and Byrne. He plays 3 inside, And like you assume Conor Cleary's going to go on McDonald, but neither of the Clare cornerbacks are a good matchup for Leach in. So how do you deal with that? And then if Wexford are going to play a 3 inside, it means John Conlon cannot try and be the everyman centre back that he likes being. He's not a good holding centre back. He's a fabulous player, but too much ball goes through his area. Too much opposition centre forwards are too impactful in games because he's an old style centre back. He tries to do everything where it leaves. It could be like. I think that could be the weakness is that if Wexford play 3 up and he continues to be not the holding centre back, but the everyman centre back, that Wexford could get an awful lot of joy inside if the quality of ball is good.
Yeah, look, it definitely does put it up to Clare there, because that full back line has looked a little ropey at times. Now, to be fair, it's not like they're conceding 5 goals against Limerick, and Limerick are normally dangerous, but Limerick were missing Seamus Flanagan and obviously Peter Casey the last day out, and you had younger players coming in making an impact. Obviously, Shane O'Brien did very well, and David Reedy was playing up there. He's not a younger player, but maybe less. Well, it's not that he's less seasoned because he's been around for a long time. There's a lot of All-Irelands, but he's not necessarily always considered a first pick up there. But that's going to be an excellent game as well. I'd probably just go along the lines of Clare to find a way over the line. But if you're right, Gary, and Wexford win, it'll be a Wexford Wexford Limerick All-Ireland semi-final, and then you'd have Cork Limerick or Cork Kilkenny. Sorry, I'm getting it all wrong. That would be some stuff altogether. But Shane, then, what about the Saturday morning, early Saturday afternoon slot for these All-Ireland quarterfinals and Tailteann Cup on Sunday?
Yeah, just madness. Look, I suppose it was forecasted earlier in the year when the master fixtures came out that these games, it was more or less the same schedule as about 2 years ago. Look, it's not ideal, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe if Rossiter taps into that bit of the GAA screwed us over here. Like, we're hosting Fela, one of the biggest underage tournaments in the country, and yet they couldn't help us out by moving our match to Sunday. And I give Jarlath Burns credit for trying to fix the anomaly that was there last weekend. And look, I know Wexford did make the GAA aware of the potential problem after they qualified in 3rd place, but it was officially up to last Saturday until they beat Laois, and they were definitely in a quarter-final. The GAA couldn't really do anything about it. And look, I suppose I come down on the point of this is very simple. The All-Ireland's quarter-final should be on Sunday. It should be prime time on the Sunday. The Tailteann Cup has had its leg up for 2 years on the Sunday. It needs to stand on its own 2 feet now. This weekend, 5 of the biggest hurling games, 2 hurling and 3 football knockout games are on the Saturday. Why? To give 2 secondary semi-finals, which mightn't even draw 15,000 to Croke Park next Sunday, the spotlight. It makes no sense. Like, the 2 quarter-finals should be on Sunday. Wexford fans able to get there. Look, I just think it's an anomaly that needs to be sorted out for next year.
GAA is shooting itself in the foot. Hurling is arguably, I mean, when football is played well and you've 2 brilliant teams horsing it out, it's unbelievable. But hurling, let's call it a spade, is the jewel in the crown. And you look at last weekend. So from last weekend, there were 7 games left in the championship. One of them was on GAA Go. The other one wasn't on at all. This week, and both of them were on at the same time. So you couldn't actually go to both either. This weekend, we've 2 Saturday afternoon games. And then after that, we've just got 3 more games. Gary, it's so wasteful. People talk about, what about the window? We're getting maximum exposure. But this is further proof that never mind all that. What you have, when it's on, you're not even showing it.
No, it's complete and utter nonsense. And I suppose the early games, for the 4 counties involved, it's relatively fine. People might have to organise work off, but your neutral fan,
Fela, though, Gary, look at the Fela as well.
Yeah, no, I suppose Wexford, sorry, the Fela. But your neutral fan looking in. More neutral fans will probably watch a hurling game than the football. It's no disrespect to the football, but it's just so frustrating. And it seems to be every bloody week there's something popping up about the TV schedule or GAA Go schedule. And I know the rugby's on Saturday as well, but now this may be for down the line, but I don't understand why we don't go Friday night games as well, Friday night games, championship games. You could play a Tailteann Cup semi-final Friday night, standalone on RT2, something like that, under the lights. Every other sport in the bloody world does it except for ourselves. We do it during the winter with the leagues and everything like that. Condensing everything into 2 days over a weekend, over what was it, 20 odd weekends in the year, it's just nonsensical. And I think we have to look at Friday night games going forward. Hurling or football, it doesn't matter once you get the weather and you have the lights in good conditions. But it's just, Jesus. Look, it's great for the Tailteann Cup on Sunday. They get their limelight, but again, there won't be 20,000 people between the 4 counties. You'd be lucky to get 15. So it's just, it's just another blooper by Croke Park, it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, the Tip Camogie team, they're hoping to maintain a winning run this weekend, Shane, against winless Limerick and Rathkeale.
Yeah, back after their weekend off, they'll be expected to get the win over Limerick. They've been along with Antrim, probably the 2 weakest teams in the group. So we like to think, look, they made changes for the Antrim game. So I think they'll probably start going back towards full strength just to get I suppose the team back together before the key game against Kilkenny on Saturday week in the Rags. So pity now that game is sort of hitting across the minor final. I know it's at 4. Maybe they might try and bring it forward to 3 o'clock or something, or maybe people could get from the Rag to Nolan Park. But yeah, no, look, Dennis the team has been going very, very well since the win in the league. Okay, they lost to Waterford in the Munster semi-final, but look, that they've rectified that. Cautavana's back. They're a really settled team. They really seem to be bedding in nicely. So look, I'd be expecting Tip to get the win comfortably enough against Limerick this Saturday.
Gary?
Yeah, I know. Listen, everything Shane said there, Dennis. Look, I think he's from winning the Munster last year. You had to kick on again this year. He won the league relatively handy enough in the championship so far, except for that Waterford test. But that was a big win over Waterford, because I think we'd lost 3 times in a row before that. Look, no disrespect to Limerick, they'll win at the weekend. Bigger fish lie ahead, but Dennis is he built a nice panel there, and it's great to have Caught back as well, even if she's just there for 5-10 minutes every game. But to have her back around the squad, it's a massive plus, because you see Cautavana warming up in the sideline. If you're a cornerback or fullback and you see her coming on, you start shaking yourself. So no, Dennis has done a great job. They'll win at the weekend, but again, bigger fish lie ahead. And look, again, the juniors are flying in as well. So look, things are looking all well so far.
Yeah, the Tip ladies footballers had a draw with Armagh last weekend, Shane. That's not a bad result at all.
No, but it could have been better. Yeah, I was watching some of this online. When they went 2-4 to 7 points up, and you said, God, they have a great chance here. Had a couple of great chances to go 4, 5, 6 ahead and didn't take them. And I suppose when you're maybe not used to maybe winning a lot of games over the last year or so, you maybe get a little tight and you start sitting back. And Armagh, in fairness, they managed to get the equaliser before the end. And okay, the Armagh team are missing Amy Macca now after probably one of the best players in the country. She damaged her cruciate a few weeks ago. But look, Armagh are Division 1 league champions, and Tip went toe-to-toe with them, got a draw, and now go up to Meath on Sunday. And if they can avoid defeat, they're in an Ireland quarter-final. So look, they're not the easiest on the eye. They don't score an awful lot, but defensively they're very, very sound. Look, they'll have it all to do, to get a result against Meath. Okay, it's not the Meath team of a couple of years ago for that won the 2 All-Irelands. Vicky Wall is not there, and they've had a few retirements, but look, they're still a very, very good team that only lost to Armagh by a point in the other group game. So they're just obviously, on what we've seen so far, there's very, very little between the teams. But look, it's great to see Tip being so competitive back at senior level. Even if Tip don't get the win or the result of the weekend, they're probably going to save. They'll probably stay senior, because Laois by far and away are the weakest team in senior, and they'll probably be the one that will end up being relegated. But look, I think the match is on TG Carr on Sunday at 3:30. It'll be there for everyone to see. So hopefully maybe they'll. I think that to go up to Navan and get even a draw would be it's a tough ask. But it might be beyond them. But look, they're in a position to make a quarter final, and that's what counts.
Okay, well, look, there's a huge amount of preview of Tipperary GAA this coming weekend, including that topic that Tommy Dunn was talking about in terms of an intervention in Tipperary GAA. Also, we know that the North Tipperary Championship is beginning now,
Great
and
show on earth.
the big show on earth. And Nina are chasing a 3 in a row. Now, Shane, I know you can't say too much because obviously Laura have an involvement, but just before we kind of let you check out here, give us your general thoughts on it.
Look, I think it's always a special time of the year when the club championship starts getting underway. Like look, we'd love to have seen maybe if Tip were still in the championship, we wouldn't be there. We wouldn't be starting as early, but look, we have to get on with it. Like, I know every club comes into the championship thinking no matter how bad last year went, this year it could be different. And like I suppose in the North, we have a lovely round number of 8 teams. We have 4 quarterfinals, so every team is going to be out over the next 5 days, starting tonight. I know maybe people are wondering why you're starting on a Wednesday. There's just, I suppose, the fact that these games have been brought forward a few weeks because of Tip exiting. It's after cutting across maybe weddings and stuff were planned on the hope that maybe Tip would still be in championship and there wouldn't be any North, and clubs have issues. And look, I still think we're probably going to get good crowds, probably in Nina tonight and in Dala tomorrow night, was just to get their fix of hurling too. And look, I think we'll have 4 very, very competitive games. I know I'm involved in one on Saturday with Laura, and look, go up against the 3 in a row chase and Nina team, but look, it's a great challenge to have, like, to be back at senior level playing the likes of Nina. So look, as long, I suppose we'd love to get we have a right good game to start off with tonight against between Killedangan and Burrs. I might just leave it at that, and sure, I'll let you dissect the games for me.
Yeah, we'll let you check out there. All right, so we'll chat to you next week, Shane. Gary, then look, the 4 games: Bursley, Killedangan, that's on in Nina at 7 o'clock tonight. Killerwan, Templederry, that's on tomorrow. That's on Dala, Laura, Nina, and then Roscrea, Tumivara. 4 pretty cracking games, and there's a lot of guesswork going on. You know, we can preview it and say, oh, this matchup could be great, that matchup could be great. There could be lads away, there could be anything. But starting off with Bursley against Killedangan. One thing we know for sure is Jerry Kelly isn't around for Bursley this year. He's off travelling. On the other side, Killedangan won't have Dan O'Mara because he's suspended after getting sent off against Clonlara in the Munster semi-final. But in terms of like having your ear to the ground there, what do you know or what do you expect tonight?
I'm telling you, it is. We had the launch of the championship side Nina Saturday morning. We were going around asking lads, well, how are you going and who's injured, this and that. It's like getting blood from a stone. It's like the CIA inside. But no, like you're hitting the nail there. Like there's loads of lads away. There's loads of lads after having weddings and holidays, bits and bobs like that. Like no team is going into this week 100%. No one near it. Burris had a wedding there, I think, recently as well. Killang had a couple of weddings, a couple of lads injured away. But no, it's class. As Shane said there, like it's a great show in our senior championship. There's just a buzz. I'm really looking forward tonight. Get over work now today and get into Nina tonight. I am expecting a good crowd at all 4 games. But I suppose starting with Burris and Dangan, like Langan are going for 6 senior finals in a row. They've lost the last 2. They might be the Dan Breen champions, but they don't want to be losing 3 finals in a row, or not like. I think Langan will be putting a big emphasis on the North Championship this year. Nina won the last 2. Burris obviously down with Jerry Kelly. I still won't be writing them off. I do expect Killangan just to get over the line. Just, I suppose, on the emphasis that they've lost the last 2 in a row. They had a quite enough league, and I think they'll just have enough for Burris tonight. But again, it's a guessing game, Shane. You can the county league was fairly tame in Tip this year. Apart from the final, the league final was very good between Drum and Church. But again, there wasn't too many clubs giving too much away in the league. There wasn't.
I'll get the word back to Burris. They've been written off heading.
Oh shit! Would be like you to stir now this early in the year. Anyway.
Are you doing this one for Clubber this evening? It's a lot of these games are on Clubber.
Yeah, I'm doing Burris Killangan tonight. Stephen Gleeson is doing Killerwan Templederry Thursday, and he's doing Laura at Nina Saturday. I'm back in Nina on Sunday for Roscrea Tomb. So all the games again on Clubber again this year. Delighted to have them all back again. And look, before we go further, I suppose just in with the lads on Saturday morning launching the championship, Philip Delaney and the North Board in conjunction with the Referees Association. There's a new campaign this year, no ref, no game. It's just about respecting the game. I'll be talking to Philip Delaney on Clubber tonight, and hopefully Kieran Timmins again, just to highlight it again. And I suppose, look, there's none of us perfect. I suppose we've all probably opened our mouths on the sidelines when we shouldn't have. But there was a big campaign this year, so hopefully the rest do get a bit more respect this year now as well.
Yeah, and like when Kilwanner meet Templeterry, you'll be looking at one side, you've got Craig Morgan back, the other side, you've got Sean Ryan back, and will the two of them end up marking each other?
That's it. Like, I suppose Tipperary played Nina last year in the semi-final in Cloughjordan, and like coming into it, you're expecting Nina to win handy. Now, they did win in handy at the end, but Tipperary kept into them for 45-50 minutes. Tipperary are probably just missing 3 or 4 players to be that top senior team. Like they proved against Holy Cross in Bursley in the last group game last year. They were lost by a point in the end. Holy Cross obviously went on to play very well in the county quarter final. Again, Killarwan, the hurt last year, Shane, I can't see them being as poor as they were last year. A lot of injuries, a lot of lads away. They have nearly everyone back this year. Thomas Williams is first year in charge. Gets on very well at the lads, a really close-knit group again this year. I'm expecting Killarwan to get over Templeterry, but again, Templeterry with Sean Ryan. If you keep Sean quiet, you're halfway getting the job done, but Killarwan for me against Templeterry.
So, madly enough, it's 28 years since Laura met Nina in the county championship, and Nina are going for the 3 in a row, but I think it's tough to make a case for Laura winning this game.
It is, and you know what? I suppose that momentum, when the teams come up, they came up from intermediate, Premier Intermediate, they rolled on last year. Can they get that momentum to go again this year? I suppose Roscrea, for me last year, were a bit of a surprise package coming up. They held their own very well. I think Laura, I suppose, probably the worst draw they could have got against the team going for 3 in a row. There's a few lads missing, a few lads away. Brian Hogan's obviously gone back to Australia. Again, they probably backs are against the wall on Saturday night in Cloughjordan. Nina should win, but again, Nina are missing 1 or 2. Conor McCarthy's back this year, all right. But again, I think Nina's so much experience there with Penny Murphy, centre back, Mikey Heffernan in midfield. Luke Jakes obviously had an unbelievable championship last year. Nina, for me, will have enough for Laura. But again, Laura's bigger picture this year is the county and just staying up this year. And, coming back to the senior team, like they last won a senior title in 1989. So it's great for them to be back competing at senior level again.
And then finally, Roscrea against Tumivara. Like there's been such a hubbub around Darren McCarthy. Now we'll see him playing senior. I mean, obviously he's played senior before, but like his stock has risen a lot. So Roscrea will be very focused on him.
Do well, and again, that's I suppose two parishes, 2 clubs that have no love lost, and that's put it fairly politely. It is. Roscrea, like I said last year, I think I said on here a couple of times last year that Toon for me in the next 2 or 3 years will be at that Dan Breen competing level. I was very impressed with him last year. Again, Dara's a year older, Kevin McCarthy's a year older. The experience American side. I suppose look, they have a couple of additions as well this year. The lock is there as well. This, I couldn't call it shame. On paper, Toon will win and should win on paper. But Roscrea for me last year were so impressive. They should have probably bet Lockmore as well in Torres in the county quarter final. They held their own in the group stages. Very disappointing against Killangan, obviously, in the North Championship last year. But again, that was their first game back senior. Oh, Jesus. I'm going to sit in the fence and go for a draw in this one because, again, Toom should be winning, Shane. But, geez, I won't be writing Roscrea off at all.
Okay. Well, look, thanks very much for joining us today, Gary. I know you have a day's work ahead of you. So, and enjoy the match this evening on Clover. So, thanks very much for joining us.
No, thanks very much, Shane.